else. And the second part of your question, John, was related to the heritage and mentoring. Well, Karen may not realize it. She wasn't a mentor to me, but she was probably the only Asian female figure I ever saw as a young person involved with student activism. And that, to this day, obviously, since I still remember those days, was an important image for me to retain, because I knew that if she was out there fighting for my rights, whether I decided to take a path in the legal area or financial services or politics or whatever, that there were people like her who were protecting my rights. And that was a very important image for me to retain in my mind. And I think that was a very important one for me.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I think it's important for Asian Americans to actually start branching out beyond our own communities. And you see a lot of Asian Americans doing that. The current president of AARP, the American Association of Retired Persons, is actually an Asian American. I think a lot of people probably aren't even aware of that. In all of my civil rights colleagues groups, MALDEF, the Mexican American Legal Defense Education Fund, the National Council La Raza, NACP Legal Defense Fund, they actually all have Asian attorneys or Asian staff. I joke that I'm trying to take over the country from the inside. So there's a lot of, I do think it's really important to, on my staff, I don't just hire Asian Americans either. I think it's really important to walk the talk in terms of diversity and inclusion. And for Asian Americans, again, it's about what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about the Asian American community, then do work there. If you're passionate about a subject matter area, you want to try to shape the progressive thinking, go to CAP. We really need Asian Americans everywhere. The other point I want to make is there's a real difference between national and local, and services and policy. And that's another area you have to figure out what satisfies you. I've lost some staff because national policy takes a long time. The House just voted again for, I don't know, the third time on a hate crimes bill that would make federal hate crimes protection broader and for the first time cover hate crimes based on sexual orientation. We've been working on that bill for 13 years. So you have to be patient, and you have to be the kind of person who sees the long haul. If you need more instant satisfaction of helping people right away, then local and community services is probably a better place for you to be. So I think it's important to understand the nonprofit sector is huge and broad. We employ 8% of the nation's workforce works for the nonprofit sector, and we're growing. There's a lot of opportunity to work in every kind of field. It's not just lawyers. We need people who do fundraisers. We have accountants. We have human resource needs. We have communications needs. We have most of the needs that most corporations have. So it is a real legitimate career path for people to think about. And it doesn't have to be your only path, as Chris notes. You can start out like I did and work for a firm and pay off your loans, and then go into the nonprofit sector. People go in and out. I have friends who were on the Hill, then served in the Clinton administration, and now working for either corporations or law firms. For you today, for the younger people today, you will have many career twists and turns. And the most important thing is to just think about the opportunity to constantly learn and apply what you've learned to the new opportunities that come your way.
You know, I just want to talk a moment about mentors, because I think mentors are incredibly important in whatever profession you choose, but I think no more so than in politics. You know, when I started at a law firm, on day one, they said, here's your mentor, and they basically assigned me somebody. We went out and had lunch, and I think that was the last I ever saw the person. That is not good mentoring. I mean, that's not how mentoring begins. Mentoring is people with whom you really do develop a close affinity with, and people who really want to take you under their wing and help guide you in your career. And I've been very fortunate in my career to have a number of people, and many of whom, including John, who all come from Senator Daschle's operation, who I think they would all consider Senator Daschle a role model. But, you know, there's not only mentors, but there's role models. And I remember growing up in the D.C. area, there weren't a lot of role models in politics. And I remember when this guy named S.B. Wu ran for lieutenant governor in Delaware, and it was this incredibly remarkable thing for an Asian American to try to win statewide office. And he did win. He eked out the victory, and it was an incredible thing. And then I remember when Gary Locke ran for governor, and he won. And it's people like that and the other people in this room who have been role models to me and who have really blazed the trail that has made my path to the White House possible. So that's all in the way of saying thank you to all of you, but I think it also puts a special burden on those of us that have been recipients of good mentoring to then use that as an opportunity to mentor other people. So my final thoughts.
Well, I hate to cut this off. I'm sorry I didn't get to all the questions, including ones about how challenging it is in the NGO world right now to finance operations, which maybe, Karen, you could give some advice on after the panel concludes. I would say, since we started with having your pay cut by 40%, and sort of in the middle we were talking about having to work from dawn to dusk without a break and never seeing your family, I would say this, and I think probably all of us share this. It is a tremendous honor to serve the public in the roles I think that we've had, both in the NGO world as well as in government. To me, the opportunity to have gotten to work for now 2 presidents has just been the thrill of my life. And I think I've been able to do that. Maybe this is just advice to some of the younger people on the panel and the younger people in the audience, and still maintain something of a work-family balance. At least my children still talk to me, and they're all grown, and they're all involved in public service. And my wife hasn't kicked me out yet. So you just have to keep your priorities straight. But the capacity to really take the kinds of experiences that these 3 wonderful panelists have and apply them gives you tremendous, I think, satisfaction. It's something that money can't buy. And so let me thank you all for being here. It was just a terrific panel. Thank you. Thank you.